Hi Magnus, welcome to the Online Marketing Rockstars.
Awesome to be here at OMR 18 in Hamburg. So my first time here, it's buzzing. I mean, there's a buzz in the convention center and it's pretty exciting to be here. Inspirations everywhere.
Is that your first sort of like traditional online marketing conference?
Yeah, I've never been to an online marketing conference, but I've done a lot of clothing trade shows all over the world. You know, in essence, it's a similar concept in an exhibition hall, but what makes OMR to me exciting is it's inspiring. There's a lot of people here and it's just a buzz of activity. So first time here, but happy to be here.
Oh, fantastic. You've built quite a career over the last, let's say, 5-6 years, right, on social media, right? Digital has become a big part of your role, your job, your way of inspiring the world.
Correct.
Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah, I mean, I just describe myself as a man with a beard, but kind of what changed my life was getting this thing, you know, the smartphone. And actually, I'd kind of avoided being on social media, believe it or not. But I had this film come out called Urban Outlaw. It came out a little over 5 years ago, October 15, 2012. Yeah. And one of my buddies said before the film came out, you should actually get on social media, i.e. Instagram and Facebook. And there's a pretty interesting story because at the time, I didn't own a smartphone. And my buddy set me up on Instagram, but I'd never posted a photo. He took the photo, set an account up, but I had an old flip phone and I didn't actually have access to my own account. But the funny part to the story is, when I did my very first post, I already had 1,500 followers and I hadn't posted a single photo. Then the film came out and everything exploded. So for me it was organic, it wasn't planned, nothing in my life has ever been planned. My journey is still evolving, but the film, Tamir Moscovici's film Urban Outlaw, certainly put me on the map, and the past 5 years have been a roller coaster of traveling all over the world, enjoying life, driving other people's cars, but essentially making the most out of every moment and every opportunity. So I'm a big follower, I'm a big fan, I take a lot of photos, and for me it's fun to engage with people.
So speaking about sort of things blowing up, everything is changed through a smartphone, right? How does that relate to the brands you now interact with, right? You've sort of become a male influencer, right? You know, in a world full of beauty bloggers.
Well, you know, it's strange. I mean, I never scripted that. It wasn't planned. I mean, the word influencer is strange because influencers, I guess, can be easily influenced. For me, I'm just doing my thing. People like to follow. I mean, on my Instagram, it literally says man with a beard. So for me, if people enjoy what I'm doing, that's great. I don't really overthink it. I post what is interesting to me. If you follow what I do, it's not all cars, it's travel, it's art, it's life, it's inspiration, because those are the things that I'm passionate about. That's actually why I'm here, is to get inspired by the environment. You know, I'm a car guy, Porsche's my drug of choice, but that's not just my identity. You know, I call myself a little bit of a gypsy rock and roll nomad. You know, in essence, I'm traveling all over the world. And I think that's the great thing about life is travel, experiences, meeting people and gaining inspiration.
What do you say? Because you mentioned something very interesting, which was that you do what you want. And a lot of stuff that's currently criticized with social media, that everybody's just trying to be someone. Well, you just said, you just are you. You do what you like, you post what you are passionate about. The way you build your cars is very much you, and then let's see where that goes. Do you think you're sort of the vinyl record to a world of Spotify, or how would you describe yourself?
Well, I think to keep it simple, I don't want to repeat myself, but man with a beard, rock and roll gypsy. But for me, I've always just attempted to do things that I love and haven't really worried too much about pleasing other people. The cars that I build are my own interpretation of my own style. The three things that I've done in 30 years of living in Los Angeles, I left England when I was 19, moved to LA in 1986, so I spent almost 32 years in LA. LA to me represented freedom, the ability to be able to do whatever I wanted to do. And I always revert back to when I was a kid. Someone would say, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I had no idea. I still don't know. People would also say to me, cut your hair and get a real job if you want to get ahead in life. Well, I haven't cut my hair 35 years later, and I don't think I've ever had a real job. I've always done work for myself, but it's always things that I've been passionate about. And the three things that I've done in the past 30 years, fashion design, property development, and playing around with Porsches, each one is its own artistic representation of my own style. I'm not trying to emulate something that came before. Naturally, I'm influenced by everything that came before and everything that's around. But for me, when it comes to branding, this has all happened organically, and it's evolved a little bit over time.
Yeah.
So for me, it wasn't like I set out to become a marketeer. I just did what I enjoyed, posted photos, and people related to it. So I think my story is relatable. I had a dream as a 10-year-old when I fell in love with Porsche. I never gave up on that dream. That's a common bond equalizer that people from all over the world can relate to, is everyone has a passion and a dream, but not everybody follows it. The great thing about the OMR Festival is all the dreamers and thinkers are here together. With guys like Adobe, you're bringing them together. You know, we've all got Photoshop and figured out how to manipulate photos and tweak things. But for me, mostly I just shoot raw.
Yeah.
My phone has over 110,000 photos on it. You know, it's pretty crazy if you look at this. You know, you go to photos, look how many I have, 112,000. So to me, this was the best thing I ever did, was getting a smartphone.
Yeah.
You know, because I take photos all the time, because you've got to live in that moment, you've got to make the most out of every moment, because you don't really know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I never want to be in the position where I said, hey, I wished I'd done that.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just going to do it.
So what you're describing is, I think, very close to the essence of Adobe as a brand, right? It's creative, it's about self-expression, it's about making things an experience. When you mentioned marketeers, right? And I remember the days where marketeers were very careful about how they built their brand and, you know, what you could say about it and who was allowed to use the logo. Right. All of a sudden, Magnus comes along, in a way, right? Owns that brand, brings a community, probably sells cars by just talking about cars that you can't even buy anymore, as in like as new. Right. So how do you think the ownership over brands and passion has changed in that?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, for me, I call this my Porsche collection out of control hobby. I'm not an independent tuner, I'm not a performance shop, I don't build customer cars. You can't come to me and have me build a car for you. But the interesting thing is, I do talk about Porsche because it's my drug of choice, it's my religion, and I think they realized through the film I have something that you can't actually put in a bottle and market, that is passion. And I talk about passion all the time because I'm a passionate guy, and for me it comes from within the heart and the soul and the gut. So it's an interesting time that, you're right, people were very protective of brand identities. People say that I've built a brand, maybe I have, but it wasn't intentional. I'm not actually really marketing anything, I'm just sharing my life experience, and people are relating to that in some form. I did this thing called a TED Talk a couple of years ago, and of everything I've done, it's been viewed the most, over 6 million times. I get people email me weekly that have been inspired in some small way by my story. Now, that is more inspirational to me than people saying, hey, I love the cars that you build. You know, I've built quite a few cool cars, and I carry one around with me all the time. This one.
I love that
but
one. Yeah.
What is more inspiring is when someone sends me an email saying they watched the TED Talk and they've decided that the career that they're in isn't something they're passionate about.
Yeah.
They want to go home and brew bourbon in their backyard garage, and they're going to start a distillery like Moonshiner in their garage. To me, that's way more inspiring, because in some way I've changed that person's life or affected change in their life. But that was never intentional. All these things have come to me organically. The film, the TED Talk, the appearance here, the opportunity to talk to Adobe about life and branding and marketing. I don't really know anything about that. I'm just in it, doing it, not overthinking it. I think sometimes people overthink and ask too many questions. For me, I'm that one-man army where I just post what feels right to me in the moment. I don't think about what the ramification may be down the road. And I think that's the key, is move quick, keep it simple, which is easier if you're a one-man operation, maybe not quite as easy if you're a big multi-billion-dollar-a-year company. But this is in a day of age where everyone's an entrepreneur, everyone's sort of doing what they're passionate about. You may call them marketeers, influencers, but to me it's just, I'm making the most out of life. If you like what I'm doing, come along for the journey. The journey is about life, and just enjoying it to the fullest.
You've just released this book. It's now available in German. And for me, the interesting question is now, if you're a person in a leadership role, right? As a mentor, as a business boss, as a brand owner, right? What's the single most interesting thing, the distilled lesson in here?
I'll keep that answer short. If
Yeah.
I can do it, anyone can do it.
Fantastic.
Couple of key bulletin points. I left school at 15 with 2 O-levels. Took a leap of faith, went to America when I was 19, borrowed £100 from my mum, worked on a summer camp with kids, and started my journey. That was freedom, not really having to answer to anybody, learning from my own mistakes, but doing things my way. So if there's a teachable element that you could take from what I've done is stay motivated. First of all, try and find a passion. Stay motivated, dedicated, never give up. Ask for advice. Obviously, my journey has been helped along the way because I'm not afraid to ask people that know more than I do. But essentially, just keep it real, stay true, and never, ever give up. It's kind of a simple motto, but it worked for me, and if it can work for me, it can work for anybody.
Love that. Should we drink to that?
I say we drink to that.
Fantastic.
Well, as we say in Germany, Prost, cheers, and Skål. That's pretty good right there.
Fantastic.